4. 3 overs for 14 runs.
Hi everyone, it's Norman Kochnek here. I'm just enthralled by an amazing day of cricket. I feel like I'm watching a tennis match. I'm watching two screens of vision. The India-Sri Lanka match, then 1 minute I'm watching Australia versus Pakistan. It's been absolutely fantastic. I'm so impressed with Imam Ul-Haq. He is now currently, as you know, he's 122 not out, with Azhar Ali on 55 not out. Being joined by Mohsin Khan. Mohsin Khan, let's call him Mohsin Khan. Mohsin Sheikh.
Hey, how are you?
How are you? I rather like
Thanks,
this. I mean, I know people are still watching the game, but we can have, there are Indian audience people who have just finished their game, and they're going to be pretty happy with their performance, aren't they? India, certainly.
Absolutely. Look, I wouldn't be disappointed if Sri Lankan camp as well, because they had the game probably before punt started to go a bit hard. But yeah, India's got to be very happy with 357 on board with 6 wickets down, and Jadeja and Ashwin still at crease. So I think the days is gone to India.
I mean, they finished on an amazing score of 6 for 357 in a day's play, going well over 4 and over at 85 overs, so they're well over 4 and over. And the last session was almost 5 and over because of people like Rashad Pant, of course.
Yeah.
And it's a day of sadness with Rod Marsh having passed away as well. I knew him very well. I knew a lot of that era. I mean, I'm good friends with Jeff Thompson and Dougie Walters, even Max Walker. I was a good friend. That era is very close to me. I was certainly younger, but they were my first impact in cricketers, and I
think a lot of the generation has seen Court Marsh, Paul Lilly. I remember
95 or 96 times. So.
Absolutely, 95 times. It's an amazing combination, and what Marsh brought to cricket, not only his playing days, post his playing days, setting up the academy and then heading the academy here in Australia, and then going over to England, setting up the academy there as well, being the selector for English cricket team as well. He's done his contribution to cricket, not only to Australia, overall in the world is unmatched. And I think cricket it's a very sad day for all of cricket fraternity, I suppose. And respect to him, and thoughts are with his family.
He was my true first cricketing hero. I mean, I was only 10 years old. I think I played a cricket a bit before that, but 10 years old, I actually played, you could argue, in a proper surrounds. And I watched that 1974 team with him in there, and I just idolised the way he kept his carry on it, the way he batted. I mean, the whole team was a marvellous one, the Dougie Walters and the Chappell brothers and William. Yep. They're all amazing players. Yep. I think Rod Marsh was right at the backbone of that team. So yeah, that's a sad day. And he was involved with English cricket, obviously Australian cricket, and I think he apparently helped a lot of countries out whenever they needed help. He was there for them.
Yep.
All right, let's just quickly look at the score. Pakistan are 1 for 230. That is a phenomenal scoreline against anyone, let alone Australia. And look, I'm sorry, Imam Ul-Haq really put his mind to it today. He batted well. I mean, so did his opening partner Shafiq as well. He batted well, didn't he? He looked pretty good. He just played a silly shot, but I mean, there's nothing wrong with having. In fact, it's the ultimate to have 100+ run opening partnership. Is Hayden Langer like? It's Slater Taylor like. It's something that sets the scene for any team. And I think I told you or talked about it yesterday that their openers are very vital to this game, and it's proven correct.
Absolutely, and at those pitches, as we spoke, both Mohali and Rawalpindi, you win the toss, you bat, of course, but it's critical, the new ball. And as you saw, Nathan Lyon in attack in the 8th over, and he was turning. So the criticality of those grounds, especially talking about Rawalpindi, where if the ball is hard, you are in the game. As soon as the ball gets softer, the bite in the turn is not there. And the thing that Australia missed out with the new ball this morning was their lengths were too short, and you see in Pakistan especially, you got to be erroring on a fuller side rather than on a shorter side. So you don't mind getting driven, but you can't be sitting on that short of a length where they wasted the early on new ball, stuck, got a little bit of swing earlier on, but there was nothing left. And same thing with Hazelwood. They were both in the channel, which is good length and lines for Australian pitches. But in Pakistan, you got to be fuller and test it with the short ball. But they were not there, and hence line was in attack from eighth over. And his turn really got finished with the ball getting softer. And as soon as that happened, it was cash in time for the players.
I think Pat Cummins, if I'm being honest with you, hasn't captained that well today. I don't think he really understands being up against it. I don't think he's not had that experience. Travis Head should not have bowled at the 18th over or whatever he bowled. He should not have bowled.
Yeah,
that was a colossal mistake.
I agree. But the thing that might have been led to his decision was because Lyon was getting a really good sharp turn early on, so he thought that he could attack with the spinner. But obviously, you and I both know Travis Head is a part-time spinner. He's good with the white ball in times when he can do a roll with that white ball. But that's where I think they missed the trick of playing an additional spinner. I would have thought they would have gone, and we discussed that yesterday. They would have gone with Ashton Agar, with someone who can do, a different class of spin. He takes the ball away from right-handers, so it would have been handy instead of Green. He can bat as well at number 7 easily. He's got.
Well, I mean, if you're answering my question, I was going to ask. I mean, Cameron Green, for example, he's a great player, hasn't done anything. Now, if he's an all-rounder, he should have bowled more than he has. He's bowled less than a Travis Head almost, and it's awful. Just by the way, we've got Gaming and Puranjay joining us. He's a regular for many months. I've had him on there, and Terence Aldrin there, and and Amick Gamer. They're all pretty regular people for my. And Terence Aldrin says that he expected Pakistan to stay in Australia. And I'll tell you what, this is really setting the scene. Even though Australia can bat well too on this particular pitch, I think they're going to feel the pressure of this, especially if Pakistan bat into it tomorrow, which they will, obviously. And these two, I mean, Azhar Ali is a master at long innings. We know that. And he's just taking his time. He's taking a backseat to Imam Al-Haq, and he's already 59, having taken a backseat.
I think it is when they got spinners on earlier on, the best part was they didn't allow them to settle. And you saw Imam and Shafiq both using their feet really well, and they unsettled Nathan Lyon's length, and they attacked him down the ground, and they were successful. I know Shafiq got one wrong, but even when Azhar came in, he was playing from the crease earlier on, but then he attacked him, slot sweeped him for a 6, and then from there onwards, he was just on. The good thing about the batting this morning and this afternoon was they didn't allow the bowlers to set in the rhythm, and there was about 12 maiden overs in a whole day, which is unusual for an Australian attack to have that less maiden overs, because they're renowned for bowling tight from one end and keeping it tight. And I think, as you said earlier and touched about Green not having to play such a role because the balls didn't do anything. They tried to go with the short stuff post lunch, and it
was predictable. It was very predictable.
Very predictable.
I mean, everything they've done, Pakistan were right on top on. The statistics would have shown, even the way that Pat Cummins is moulding himself as a captain, it works better in Australia when you've got incredible pitchers who Scott bowling at 6 for 7. They're gonna get smacked in this match. I seriously don't think even our batters, well, they may do okay, but they're not going to. Pakistan's going to have it all their own way. They're going to know exactly how to dictate this match. They've won the toss, and that's a massive thing. Just quickly, let's move. Let's before we're going to talk a lot more about Pakistan and Australia. Let's switch back for some of our viewers who are here who have finished watching India play Sri Lanka. Let's switch back to that. Rishabh Pant. A lot of people knock him over recent times because he's been getting out cheaply or whatever. He's marvelous to watch. Absolutely marvelous.
Pleasure to watch. Absolute pleasure. And a lot of people are actually commenting about his dismissal being in 90s, like he's been out 3 or 4 times in 90s. But the thing is, that style of cricket that he plays, he plays with a high risk. kind of a manner that he attacks the bowler and he takes the game, because they were 5 for 228, and all of a sudden they were 5 for 328. They scored 100 runs in like 15 overs, 14 point something overs. When Pant started to go hard, they scored that extra 100 runs in no time, and that put Sri Lanka on back foot. But I'd like to actually start from the top, where they got couple of early wickets. So I thought Sri Lanka got back into game really well. The opening partnership was reasonable, but then the disappointing part was dismissal of their skipper. I know he's been out hooking and pulling quite a few times, and if you remember in Sydney when Sharma got out and in a critical time, and instead of going and improving on that, he said, "Look, this is my shot. I'm going to play that shot regardless. And if I get out, that's so be it." I kind of understand that. I take that, but I think there's times and situations where you've got to be smarter than that. He's the skipper of the team, and I think he could have cashed in with 100 and really hurt Sri Lanka at that time. So from my point of view, I think top order missed a little bit of trick. Even if you see a dismissal of our man we spoke, and we all wanted to get him 100, in again another 40s, just a little lazy shot, missed the ball, and he looked surprised when he got out. So that's...
I'm just laughing. I'm looking at the Australia bowling card, and they've forgotten to put Smith on the bowling card. Smith's bowled an over, but they haven't put him on the list.
No.
Can you see the screen?
That's right. Yeah, it is.
Since Barbie's not on the list, it's funny. Look, okay. India have done well. They got 350 plus total in a day. It's magnificent in terms of run rates. They've done well, and they'll probably go over 400, and they're probably going to do enough. But realistically, they should have been 1 or 2 down, or 2 or 3 down, and have got a lot more runs. You're right, and Vihari looks solid. He looks like a baby Pujara in some ways. Kohli still, even though he got 40 odd, the pressure's still on his shoulders.
Yeah.
Every time he goes to the bat, there's pressure on his shoulders. You could sense that. And that shot that he got out to was a very, I don't know, something not right about it. But anyway, they all got starts. The whole list of them got starts.
Yep.
Except for Punt, who went on quite a way. None of them really made a fist of it. So they'll be happy with the score, yet frustrated, I think.
I agree, yeah.
And I think you and I talked yesterday. I had actually thought Angelo Matthews was no longer playing, but I was completely wrong.
He was in, and he did play today.
Muth Karat was there as well.
Yes.
Kanshal Mendes is not playing, is he? I didn't see. Yeah. But then they've got Naresh Dickwella keeping. I mean, to me, it's a bit better a Sri Lankan side than I give credit to. Their T20 ODI side seems to be lacking direction, but this side's bit more the old firm, which is all right. I don't mind.
Yeah, and that just as you mentioned, Punt's impact, and we spoke about Punt's impact the other day as well. Just looking at the scorecard, even if if Punt gets out when they were 5 for 228, India could be all out 300. So that's what the responsibility gain goes back to the top order of Indian batting to get it right. And I think that's what the idea for Dravid is, to make sure that number 3 and number 5 is really pushing. 50s obviously is a good start for Vihari. I think he'll be kicking himself that he missed out 100 there as well. Same with the Agarwal. He had a really good start and he should have carried on and scored a big 100 there. So I think India top order did miss a trick. Punt did come to rescue, but again, India have got enough runs. I think the day one belongs to India.
Now, they put Punt in front of Shreyas Iyer. Now, it worked because Punt got 96, almost got 100. But I think it was a bit of a slap in the face to Shreyas Iyer. I don't think that they necessarily needed to have Punt going early.
No, true. I agree. Yep.
So, yeah, look, we can't say it didn't work because it did, but Shreyas Iyer I think honestly he was put off by that. I think he batted way too low in the end, and probably didn't quite get a chance to be himself. And he's been batting so well. the more and more I think about it, I just keep on thinking that Shreyas Iyer should be 4.
Mm.
And I even think that Kohli could even, if he had the strength of character, could drop himself down a bit lower, because at the moment he's not batting like a number 4. Whereas
No,
Shreyas Iyer is capable of doing.
I see your point absolutely, but I think Kohli has earned that choice to pick his spot. I think he's played that.
Oh no, but I mean, even Tendulkar didn't necessarily bat where he probably would always have liked to have batted when his career went down. He batted, well, he was normally a 3, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Sometimes a 4. But anyway, I just don't know. I think he's putting too much pressure on himself. He's still got 45, though. We can't say he didn't get enough runs.
Yeah.
But his dismissal was very ordinary, wasn't it?
Yeah, it looked like a lazy shot to me, because it was just simple, a prod, and he let the ball spin past him and hit the top of off stump. It's for a caliber of a batsman that Kohli is. I think that was, to me, it was just lazy dismissal, I suppose. But I hope he gets some runs again in the second inning if he gets by that, or in the pink ball. I really want him to get going before England series starts. So. Yeah, let's see.
And you got Jadeja, still class. He would bat probably 4 in most other international sides because he is that good. And even Ashwin still bewilders me that he's 400 plus wickets and 5 Test centuries.
Exactly right. Exactly. So that's why their balance is really good with the pace and spin. And I think Sri Lanka will find it hard to go past India here, because they've got, they'll get 450, and I think that would be very tough ask for Sri Lanka. I think that the punt was the key wicket. If they would have got punt at 220 or even at 250, then India could have been all out 330, 340. So that's where I think Sri Lanka missed the trick. Or you could say the other way, that punt's taken the game away.
Well, as we know, Sri Lanka has never beaten India. Never.
That's
right. In a Test match. Never.
Yeah.
It's not very psychologically strengthening for you to think that you've never beaten a side. It's a bit like in our rugby league terms, someone getting beaten by Melbourne all the time. Now, Pakistan are now, after 83 overs, 1 for 237. I've just seen Stark bowl. He's only bowled 13 overs, which I think is awful. He should have bowled 20 in the daylight.
Yeah, but that again is the because the ball is not doing anything. The impact, day one, when you get your number 1 spinner bowling in the 8th over, you know that the ball is not doing anything. And as I mentioned yesterday, Stark would be utilised. Short spells, they would be asked him to bowl quick. And today he was averaging around 140s, not even high 140s, low 140s. And because the ball did not do a great deal, he didn't use his bumper quite a lot, which I think the pick of the bowler for me out of the quicks was Cummins, because he uses his bouncer really well. And in those kind of low and slow pitches, bouncer becomes a surprise package, which I think they missed the trick when they went bumper. They kept going predictable bumpers rather than just mixing it up with fuller deliveries and whatnot. Whereas Cummins bowled that kind of length, that hard length, and then he went bumper and then fuller length, whereas others didn't. Surprised with Hazelwood as well, that his lengths were really good for Australian pitches, but it didn't go fuller for subcontinent decks. I suppose they'll come back harder tomorrow.
Look, they're what 83rd points, 83.2 overs bowled, 1 for 238. Azrael is on 61. He's not somebody who gets out when he's on 61. He goes on to make hundreds.
Imam record shows he's got 1800s and 30.
Yeah, exactly. And big hundreds too, triple hundred.
He's got a triple hundred as well. So his conversion rate is really good. Whenever he gets past that uncomfortable time, which he took time for his first 10 runs, came in with 40 deliveries he faced to get his 10, and then once he was comfortable, he was in. He didn't look like getting out.
Yeah, Imam al-Haq, having struggled to get 100, he's got 70s in the odd and was always a bit frustrated. He's just blown them out of the water with this innings, and he's 128, but he's very likely to go on and probably score a lot more. It's quite impressive. I'm Australian, yes, but I do like the fact that if Pakistan come out and get a 400, I love when Pakistan bat well. If I think back to Yunus Khan or Muhammad Yusuf or obviously Inzamam al-Haq, when they go big. I think Pakistan are really not credited as much as they should be for some of the most talented batsmen ever. Really, I mean, they got some phenomenal players. I mean, definitely. I mean, Muhammad Yusuf finished too early. He retired way too early. Yunus Khan was just sensational.
Amazing, yes.
Azhar Ali's in the same mould as well. And we haven't even seen Babar Azam reach the levels that he can reach yet, and he probably will.
Absolutely.
It's intriguing.
Yeah.
Who's the opener that I've heard a lot about? So I've got the man's name who had a heart problem.
Yes, Abid Ali. Abid Ali's been a regular opening batter for Pakistan for the last few years. He had a heart issue just before the end of around Christmas time. He had an issue with the heart, so he has gone
during a match. Actually, he came off batting.
He was batting in a first-class game, so he had a bit of a chest pain. So they took him for precautionary, and I think he's had a minor surgery as well. So he's just started to do his rehab with running and whatnot. So I wish him all the best with his recovery and his rehab, because he's such a gentleman off the field as well, and on field he's hitting good form. He's scoring runs. He scored 100 against South Africa, scored 100 against New Zealand as well. So he's one for a long term, I suppose. So I wish him all the best for his recovery, and soon as he gets fit and come back in the main team as well.
When was the last time Australia had a score like this put on?
That's exactly right. And if you listen to Casper, she was saying 5 tests here in Australia with the Ashes. Cummins was not really tested, and this is real test for him. I think the test of character, change of bowlings, and obviously to see how they can come back from this with 1 for 200 odd, and how they can get the 20 wickets is going to be crucial. How they bowl tomorrow when they take new ball as well, and that would be interesting to see how, if they don't go bang bang earlier on with the new ball, they could be in for another long day.
84 overs have been bowled. They're 1 for 238. They're scoring around about the 3 mark, just under the 3 mark, which I'm quite happy with.
Yeah.
How many overs are left? Are they going to bowl 6 more? Are they going to bowl out the 90?
They're going to bowl 90. I think that the light's pretty good. There's no cloud cover. Light's pretty good. Rawalpindi is the area. It's kind of a valley. The sun could set earlier behind the mountains, but for the time being, it looks quite bright, and I think they'll go the full 90 overs. They've had the first session a lengthy one because of the Friday prayers that dictated the first session to be a bit longer one, but then the second was the shorter one.
And they had an hour lunch.
An hour lunch, yeah, that's right, for the Friday prayers.
Why is that?
So the Friday is
religious. Okay, it's a prayer. I see.
Prayer. So they had to prolong the lunch session to 1 hour so they can perform the prayers and have the lunch as well. So that's why the first session was 2.5 hours. And then next session was an hour and a half to compensate. And
it's interesting. That actually probably helps their batting.
No, exactly right, exactly. And that actually, the funny thing is, just an over before lunch, we lost the wicket of Shafiq. So it could go both ways, because he could have just batted that over and gone to lunch not out. But he played that, rush of blood. He's bogged down for a little bit. So if you see his last 20 deliveries, he scored about 4 or 5 runs. So the dot balls were accumulating on him, whereas Imam was scoring runs frequently. And that's where he thought he could attack line. But the ball that he attacked was not probably the one that he could have just gone on ground where he's teed up and hold it up to Cummins.
So in Australia, when we don't have that change of times when Pakistan play in Australia, they conform to Australian time, don't they? And they have their prayer still in a reduced lunchtime.
Yeah. So it's just that the boys will be rushed. They will perform the prayer and lunch as well. So it will be rushed. But I think when even in the domestic circuit, when the game's on Friday, they adjust the first session to be a bit longer, and then second session be a shorter one. And these playing conditions will be communicated to Cricket Australia nice and early as well, so they know that for a Friday being, it's a religiously important day, so it's communicated both ways.
Look, and I just love the way that the crowd were holding up banners thanking Australia for coming, and a lot of my viewers on two particular videos I put out have gone 160,000, another one over 120,000 just on these videos. And thanks you. I just love it. I just love all this. It's just a very heartwarming feeling. And whether you're a supporter of India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, whatever, they'd all be watching this. Don't worry. The audiences around the world are watching this match with great interest because of the love of cricket, quite frankly. I mean, we all know that there's competition between teams. I don't particularly like watching South Africa play. They annoy me when they play. I don't know why. I want to. Whenever I'm watching the screen and say New Zealand are playing South Africa, I want South Africa to get. I'm going, get out, get out. I want to see South Africa crumble. I don't know. I've just got this within me that I just want to see that. Maybe sometimes England is the same, but
Yeah.
I love seeing New Zealand bat, and I love see Pakistan bat. I think they are wonderful to see. When they bat well, they bat fantastically. When Brendan McCullum get big,
there's something about New Zealand that I think everyone likes. I think their attitude toward cricket is really positive, really good, and they've had some good skippers. If you look at from the last three eras, they've had really good skippers. Even from 90s when they started, they've always been competitive. They've always been up there, and now they're with the white ball. Obviously, if you look at back 92 onwards, they've been really successful. But now the red ball cricket has been really, really well polished, and they played the final, won the final for the Test match as well. So they always have something that just it's just fascinating to watch. Whether they're producing quicks, they're producing guys that can hit hundreds, come out of nowhere and score hundreds, and they're really good to watch.
With bowlers like Trent Bolt for New Zealand and Southey and even Wagner, I love watching them play. There's something about them, and the same goes with Pakistan when they got their bowlers on song. And everyone loves to watch Virat Kohli when he does well. Rohit Sharma. When Rohit Sharma's on, everybody watches. He's such a masterful player to watch, And the same goes with Babar Azam. You'd argue for Steve Smith and a few other Australian players too. Although lately I have gone off Dave Warner and Steve Smith. I just don't know why. I'm not against them. But I think ever since Sandpaper Gate, I haven't really gotten over that. I really haven't. I felt that really tainted their reputation on all sorts of levels. And I don't think either of them have batted well since then either, have they, really?
I think Warner started to come really good from T20 World Cup. If you look at his numbers, have been really encouraging. He had a reasonable Ashes. He didn't blow out of there, but he had a reasonable Ashes as well. But Steve Smith is one that I really like to see him attain those top slots in the batting, where he was when he was left out for a year. I'd like to see Smith really getting back. I think he's the responsibility put on him being the vice captain. I think that will do a great deal because he's a natural leader. Coming through his age ranks as well, he's always been a really good leader as well. So I think for Smith's sake, I'd like to see him get back to that dominance that he had prior to that year off he had.
Well, he's got no excuses. He's got no excuses in Pakistan because the pitches should suit him down to the ground.
Absolutely. Pitch is flat, and the challenge against spin, he plays spin really well as well, but the two spinners that Pakistan are playing are different kind. One is a left arm orthodox, and the other one is it's not a traditional off spinner. He's very quick through the air, and he bowls into the pitch, and he's got the doosra as well. So the challenge would be for Smith again. If he does well here in Pakistan, I'm pretty sure he will do well in India as well.
So there's definitely an over reliance on Lyon on this innings. He's already bowled, his 29th over,
Exactly.
1 for 83. Over reliance on him, under reliance on staff. Hazelwood's, commendable. Cummins isn't playing out of his skin because he's captain.
Exactly.
Travis Head, I'm sorry. Were you a bit shocked when you saw Travis Head come on? He bowled absolute crap.
As I said, I could understand him, Cummins bringing me on earlier on because he saw ball turning real big, so he thought Heads could make a bit of an impact. But obviously with his again, for those kind of pitches, bowling against Pakistani batsmen who are really good playing against the spin, I don't think he bowled. He bowled quite flat. He bowled quite into the pitch, which
He
was.
shouldn't have bowled. I'm sorry.
No, I know. I agree.
Bowled.
That just validates my point of going with Agar instead of Green for this Test match, where Pakistan have got 3 spinners in particular. So Iftikhar is an off spin all rounder. If you look at his numbers from first class cricket, he's got batting average of 40 and bowling average of 29. So he gets wickets in first class cricket as well. So he's more than a part-time off spinner. So Pakistan have got 2 quicks and potentially 3 spinners, and then Azhar Ali can bowl leg spin as well. So if he can come on and bowl what Manas can bowl a few overs here and there, and Azhar Ali.
Look, I'm going to be really blunt here. Travis Head was rubbish today. He looked like he was not only part-time, he was just ordinary. He got hit around quite. He took the pressure off.
Yeah, he did.
Off. Yeah, next time. Mars Labuschagne can bowl okay, but again, I'm not sure. And Steve Smith today bowled ranked full tosses.
Yeah, it's just they just tried, because you could see they're just trying to buy a wicket, because when the batters are not looking trouble from your quick, you got to try whatever you can to try and buy a wicket. So
against Pakistan batters, upper order batsmen, Azhar Ali's no fool. He won't fall for that. He'll just take his time. And
that's exactly right. Yeah, and that's a different kind
against
of
Babar Azam or Azhar Ali, even Fawad Alam, these guys are not fools. They're not going to worry about a loose delivery. They're going to either play it on its merits and maybe hit the ground for a single and not care that it wasn't full. They're not. They're going to. Then they know they're in. Azhar Ali will probably be here for the rest of the week if he's given the opportunity. He bats. Jesus, I mean, realistically, they're 1 for 240. This is a scary scoreline.
Yeah, I think if they score another 200 runs, I think they'll keep batting. They'll like to bat once only. If they can
for the whole series, actually, for the whole series, to put a massive stamp on this series. If they go close to let's say 500, which they're more than capable of doing, they've only got to get 260 more to get 500. And they've got 9 wickets.
Well, that's it. Exactly right. I mean, that's what the key would be tomorrow. How they start with the second new ball. I don't think they've taken the new ball today.
I don't know. The ball came out actually. I think they have got the new ball.
They have taken the new ball. Okay. Well, even if they don't utilize it early in the morning tomorrow, then I think the Aussie bowlers are going to be in a lot of hurt. And there will be, because as you see, Lyon has already bowled 29 odd overs or 30 odd overs today. If he bowls another 30 overs tomorrow, you countering him out of the game pretty much. And then your quicks have to bowl the rest of the workload. So all of a sudden, first Test match they bowled over 25 overs each. So that's already an exhausting day 1 and day 2. Let alone you think they will bowl probably 15 overs each. What their maximum bowl in Australia in the Ashes, they didn't bowl anything over 15 overs anyway because they were getting teams out really quickly. So that again is a test for fitness and recovery as well. So yeah, I think tomorrow, if early wickets are not fallen, I think the game's going to probably go where Pakistan would like to just bat once and try and get Australia out twice.
I mean, they said it was a sold-out crowd, but there aren't that many seats in the stands and they're flat concrete locations. Certainly, but there was a lot of noise, a lot of pleasantries. Munchie has joined us. Hi all, this is enjoying watching Pakistan. But Munchie is Marcus Lawrence. He regularly comes on my show. Munchie is obviously English, so he must be really bored. He's watched Australia versus Pakistan and India versus Sri Lanka. I guess he's waiting to see when England play the West Indies. But yeah, it's great to watch Pakistan batting, as Munchie's just said.
Yes.
Azhar Ali, he's taking a back seat with him Al Haq at the moment, but he is just master class stuff.
I've got a lot of time for Azhar Ali. He's played 92 Test matches. His conversion rate is amazing. His average is up in early 40s. You know, a lot of times you don't really see him make big names and whatnot, but his record is phenomenal. So he's not many Asian cricketers play 100 Test matches. So he's close to playing 100 Test matches as well. And the guy has been captain. He's been demoted from the captaincy as well, but he has done quite a lot in Test cricket. I've got a lot of time for him. I think he's
37.
Exactly. Yeah. So he's a phenomenal bat. I think he deserves to go on and make another 100. I think he's good enough. And then if Imam can utilize, this was his first 100 in last in 12 Test matches. So he has done, really justified his spot. He hasn't played Test cricket since 2019, last time he played a Test match. So over 2 years now for him to get another chance, and he's taken it with both hands, which is.
Geez, he drives well. He drives well. He's very solid with defence. Good, patient player. His celebration when he scored his century was just magnificent. It was theatre. He was really, prayed for his luck. I love it all. I love it intensely, and really, it's going to lift the overall spirit and confidence of this Pakistani side to another level. 1 for 240. No matter what they do tomorrow, that they're well and truly set. I mean,
I think they belong to Pakistan here, and Mohali they belongs to India.
I mean, the toss was extremely important. Let's be honest. Australia batted today. I would have loved to have seen what would have happened if Australia batted today. Would they be in a situation where they won for 240? I would have said that a few years ago, but I'm not sure now.
No, I think Australia would have gone harder, and with ball, even on day one, 8th over ball was turning big. So it's a lot of ifs, but I think Australia would have gone harder too early with the harder ball, knowing Warner is an attacking nature, and everyone else in the top 4 they attack the ball hard. Would have been interesting to see if they would have gone to a flyer. There would have been 350. There could be.
Well, what they've got to be careful of now, they're watching Packers. Oh, hello. Was it a catch? No, it was a crowd catch. The Australian batters who haven't played in Pakistan before, we look at this and think, this is going to be easy. I'm going to get lots of runs when I bat. And they're going to be probably rudely shocked when they realise that actually, even though it looks easy, it's not all that easy at all. And especially to a Pakistani bowler who knows their conditions, it won't be that easy to get the runs as you may think, especially early on. I mean, Pakistan, well, they didn't struggle, but they took their time. They weren't necessarily on top for that entire time, but it was made easy when Travis Head came off. It was like the balloon was released. They could sense a crap bowler. I'm sorry, Travis Head's not a good bowler. Yeah. I mean, I don't care what he's done.
That's what I think. Pat Cummins went too early to go trying 2 different things. I think he could have rotated his quick from one end and keep bowling Nathan Lyon from what he thought that spin could work from both ends, and which obviously didn't. So I think that's a good learning from him as well, I suppose. Remember, he's only 5 Test old captain, so we just got to give him that benefit of doubt.
They got a light on the field. One of the lights are on.
Yeah, well, as I said, Rawalpindi is like a valley, so there's mountains around it, so sun could set really early behind the mountains, so the light could play. So what they've already played 87 overs, so there's a couple of overs to go. So I think they'll just get through those couple of overs, and yeah, the light wouldn't come in play. But yeah, the location of the ground is if you consider Canberra being a valley and around snow mountains, Rawalpindi is like that. So it's surrounded. It's like a valley, and sun could set behind
Oh,
those
really?
pretty quickly. Yeah. So that's probably. But they've gone 88 overs already done. So only a couple of overs to go.
Yeah. Stark hasn't been bad, but he hasn't been impressive either. Hazelwood's been quite predictable. Cameron Green, when he bowls, something's happening. I always feel that something's happening. Pat Cummins tried his guts out, but the pitch wasn't giving him anything. They bowled short, but they're bowling short to some Pakistan batsmen who just know how to handle short bowling.
But the pitch wasn't quick enough to get through.
No.
They bowled short, trying to get the ball roughed up from one side and see if they can induce some reverse swing. But I didn't see ball reversing massively. And I think once you see Pakistani bowlers, they'll reverse the ball, because it's all about how you look after the ball in those conditions. They've got to keep the ball dry. People who sweat the ball, they don't touch the ball, and they've got to keep the ball dry and keep shining one side, so you can get the ball going a little bit. I didn't see ball going big today. It was swinging earlier on, or not swinging. It was a little bit off the air when they started the game, but it died really really quickly. And within first hour, the ball was not doing anything. Cummins had in after lunch, he had some balls going a little bit, but then it was very ineffective. And
now Munchie's being a bit cheeky. Read that there. Ball's not getting rough enough without sandpaper.
Oh,
Yeah.
well.
Look, I'll be honest with you. Australians are not good with reverse swing.
No,
Let's be honest.
No, they're not.
We still have no clue how to do it.
It's
We
an
don't.
It's absolutely right, and you're 100% know, because you got to look after the ball. Like, I'm coming from now, put a Pakistani hat on my head, and when I went to coach Pakistan, I saw how a lot of guys said that they pick the ball and cheat and whatnot, but they really look after the ball really well. And as soon as the ball's conventional swing is gone, they'll bowl some cross seams and whatnot, try and get the rough side ball roughed up, and everyone throws into the square these days. They'll get the ball roughed up, and there's only a couple of guys who are dedicated to shine the ball, and they really look after the ball. Even the bowler who is bowling, and if he's sweaty palms and whatnot, he only touches the ball just before he's running into bowl, because the polisher will keep working on the ball, and the other guys who is dedicated. And anyone who is sweaty palms don't touch the ball. So it's really art to make sure that you get the ball ready. And if you heard Casper talking about it today, he was saying that when these guys were bowling in England, and England was reversing at that time when Troy Cooley was English bowling coach, they really learned from there the art to reverse. So Casper was talking about reverse swing this afternoon, and it was very interesting listening to him.
The thing is, it's almost as if Labuschagne's, the Heads, even the Cameron Greens need to go through a baptism of fire here and actually be beaten soundly by Pakistan on this tour to understand and learn from it, more than just surprisingly doing well, because it's almost like they're up against the best at their own conditions. In Pakistan, we know the bowlers know their conditions better than anyone, and especially because no one's played there, they're in the dark big time, and they're finding out. I mean, the fact that they didn't really know what the conditions were, it still bewilders me, because we knew what the conditions would be like. It is suit batsmen. It would be not much pace on the delivery, even though it's a more pacier so-called wicket, where spin would have played a role, but not in the 18th over necessarily.
I think the way they picked the team was based on the previous stats on this ground. If you see the stats, obviously 80% of the wickets have been taken by the quicks, but the nature of the pitch has been different. If you look at the pitch they presented against South Africa, the team didn't cross 300, and there was a live grass on it, a bit of green tinge on the pitch. So it seemed where. The quicks have taken the wickets, and likes of Hassan Ali got 10 for the game. But this time around, there was no live grass on the pitch. It was really brown of nature. So anything that was going to happen was, 10, 12 overs with the new ball and then reverse. So I think the balance of the team would have been better if they would have gone with Ashton Agar instead of Green to give, or dropping another quick and picking up Ashton Agar as a second spinner to support Line, because as you see, Line's have already bowled 30 overs for the day and they're only one down. So come tomorrow, he's up for another workload of good part of 20 odd overs.
I mean, I can't see Pakistan losing this match.
Well, they got to bat themselves out of the game. So if they bat long, bat for another 2 sessions, they'll be 450 tomorrow by tea. They shouldn't be losing from there.
Azhar Ali is almost smugly batting there. He's smiling. Oh, this is exactly what I want. So you're bowling exactly the way I want you to. He hasn't been troubled at all. I mean, the short stuff they threw at him, he just laughed at that and just hit them out of the ground. And I love the way Imam Al-Haq took on Line and any of the spinners very early on.
Very early on.
Allah Risha punt to an extent.
But
yeah, I mean, it's 1 for 243. 90. It's not run rate's not great, but they don't need to.
They'll cash in. Yeah, they'll cash in. They've got batters like Barber and whatnot coming in.
Oh my God.
They can catch up. Rizwan is in a good nick as well. He can score runs quickly as well. So I think they're not worried about run rate at this point in time. There will be a bit more bat long, get the game longer, and once they have, then they'll increase the run rate. And I think 1 for 243 or 245 at the end of the day. Come tomorrow, they'll bat first hour normal, and then they can start attacking as well.
It's amazing how clear the sky is after rain.
Beautiful, isn't it?
Previous day, it's like someone's just put clouds there and they've taken them away. It's like it's hard to imagine.
Did you see the nearly 90% of the ground?
What's Munchie got here? Munchie's obvious. I think Munchie wants to be on the program, but given the schedule of games, 2 days of bowling from the Aussies could ruin them for the entire series. Exactly, and that would have been Pakistan's master plan. Tie the hell out of these Australian bowlers, and they've got nothing in the tank. They're going to bat well into tomorrow.
Oh, absolutely. Why wouldn't you?
I reckon they'll go for 500. I reckon they're going to want to bat once in this game.
That's what it looks like. If they bat 2 sessions tomorrow, everyone's bowled over 25 overs in first 2 days of the series already, coming off the plane and not having much cricket. I think Hazelwood just coming back from injury, his workload's going to be higher. Whether you play him in Karachi or give Scotty Boland back in the team, they've got to manage the workloads of those bowlers as well. And then do you play Stark or bring in another spinner? All of these things will start coming into picture if they keep batting tomorrow, well into tomorrow's, say, post tea as well. That would be amazing to see how that impacts the Aussie bowlers going into second test in Karachi.
Look, Lyons tried his guts out. He hasn't bowled badly.
No, he was superb.
They batted well against him. They just took him on early.
Exactly. Subcontinent teams bat well against spin. He varied his flight really well, his pace really well. He tried to, he tried everything. I think he bowled his heart out. I got to give, for me, him and Cummins were the pick of the bowlers for Australia. Well,
they've just finished the day's play at 90 overs, and they're 1 for 245. So it's a little bit slow, but it's by no means an issue. Azhar Ali 64 not out with, of course, Imam Al-Haq on 132.
That's amazing. That's a very good day's work.
That's an amazing day. It's just Azhar Ali looks like he's walking out to bat, not that he's just had batted. He looks so refreshed.
Yeah.
Imam Al-Haq's a bit tired, but Azhar Ali looks like he's just gone out there for a couple of overs.
That's it. Yes. Yeah. And the weather is nice there as well. It's not too hot. It's not too cold. Earlier on first session, you saw guys walked out with vest on. So mornings are always fresh in Rawalpindi, and then the day finishes with a bit of freshness as well. So this time of the year, the weather is quite nice to play cricket in Pakistan. So I think the guys have enjoyed would have enjoyed not too much hot conditions. While in Karachi, it could be Gabba-like, where it could be a little bit humidity there as well, because it's a coastal city, so it will be different climate. Whereas this is a valley surrounded by snowy mountains, so the climate is quite comfortable.
Now, I look at the players. The security that apparently is around the team is not evidenced within the ground, which I'm very impressed about. Because
Yeah.
I have seen some constant games where you've got army surrounding the whole edge of the field. In fact, I've been to matches in India where, and even Sri Lanka, where they've got more army than crowd. But
Yeah.
they don't seem to be evidence there. That obviously they're evidence outside the ground.
Yeah.
How far would the hotel be from this ground? Do you know?
How far? Sorry.
The hotel.
Oh, hotel wouldn't be that far. No, hotel's not that far. And plus, when they go on to when they finish the day and when they go out, they go out in like a convoy. So they'll have quite a bit of security to protect them. And the buses they use, they are bomb-proof buses. So they've got those special built. And they do decoy as well, so they don't have a certain path where everyone knows which path the team bus is going. So they always have a decoy as well. So there are always two routes to back to hotel. So yeah, like I was lucky enough to be part of PSL a couple of years ago, where they had similar security. So you always have a convoy go first, and then the other convoy go the other route. So it's always like a decoy, similar sort of. Passage set on, and security is quite high, so I'll feel comfortable. Yeah, it'll be quite comfortable.
It's interesting. They've just talked at the press conference about the plan. Previously, they were going to get a player. In Australia aren't in a good mood. Andrew McDonald's going to be the person post-match. It's almost predictable when a team puts out their coach to talk about the first day's play as opposed to a player. I know, Australia hasn't had much of a chance to do anything, but it's indicative of the state of play, isn't it? I don't know.
I think it's let's put it in a positive manner.
Hang on a second. They're still not putting Steve Smith in the bowling lineup. What's going on here? Even at the end of the day's play, he bowled overs. Didn't he? I'm certain Steve Smith bowled overs. He bowled full tosses, but he's not on the record as having bowled on the screens, at least. That's strange.
It is strange. But coming back to press conference, I think it's one of those days where you as a coach, I think it's probably come from media manager, as you being in media for a long time. Sometimes media manager try and protect the players after a rough day, or not rough day, long day in the field. And sometimes it's good for a coach to go and take the hard questions, because there will be some hard questions put into him about selection today, because a lot of guys would have thought that they will go with 2 spinners rather than 4 quicks. So I think it's good for Andrew McDonald to front the media. I think he's very well capable of answering those questions, and I think it's kind of, if you look at that way, he's kind of protecting his players as well, which I think it's a good idea, smart move.
Yeah, I totally understand what you've just said, but I always refer to another code, like, say, rugby league or soccer. Generally, players go with a coach, or captains go with a coach. I just don't think you can hide behind that. I think a player should be there.
Yeah,
I really
have a point.
Win or lose or draw, or bad day or good day, they should be there. We're paying them the big bucks to represent our country. I want to hear from them.
Yeah,
and
true.
Pat Cummins has been everywhere, so I wouldn't necessarily have thought of Pat Cummins. Any other player, doesn't matter which one, just pick a player and get them to talk. And actually, it'd be good to have a young Cameron Green talk about his first day of experience in Pakistan and how it felt. I'd like to hear that, because he'd be I'm sure he speaks well, and we can just hear what he has to say, how it felt to be out on the field in his first game. I want to hear that. Don't you?
Yeah, and absolutely. I agree. You definitely have a point. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if the media manager, it's Brian Murgatroyd, he's fantastic. And Cole's there as well. either one. I mean, they can be a bit manipulative in a good way. They can bring players if they want to. If you ask for something, they do it. Like they all asked to get Pat Cummins to do a tribute to Rod Marsh, and the media guys arranged that, which was good.
That was very nice of him. Yeah.
I can't believe the graphics not showing Steve Smith. Obviously, I think Marcus Munchie said there's not enough room in the graphic for 8 bowlers. Well, there should be enough for 11 bowlers, or at least 10, because 10 probably.
Cricinfo is showing 2 overs for 5 runs for Steve Smith. But
see, now Bubba Azam happily. That's actually Imam Al Haq talking now, and he looks particularly happy and quite refreshed, actually.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I think he said, always first 100 is like a monkey off your back. So he's played 12 Test matches. He hadn't had 100, and what best to score 100 against Australian bowling attack? That's a really good. Hats off to him. Well done, well batted, and set the scene for the whole series.
Gaming from Purinjay, who's normally here, he's saying goodbye. See, come back up. Gaming. We'll talk much about India as well, other teams. So please come back, guys. We're not just talking about Australia, Pakistan. We're talking about India, Sri Lanka. Although I was intrigued with Foxtel, I found it very hard to find India, Sri Lanka on Foxtel because they had women's cricket, of course, there as well, and they hid them on some of the Supercars channel. And I went and clicked on that, and all of a sudden there's India versus Sri Lanka.
Sri Lanka, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Did you see that?
Yeah,
it's been hard to find on Foxtel.
That's right. Yeah. We haven't touched the Women's World Cup. I think England playing Australia tomorrow. So it'd be an interesting game for women's side of things as well to see how they perform tomorrow. So I wish the Aussie ladies all the best tomorrow. Hopefully they come good.
So Munchie's saying he's sure that's not a twin there because he looks so refreshed. And he does. He looks very. It didn't look that refreshed when he walked off the field, but he does now.
Yes.
But the evidence was Azhar Ali. He looked like he just walked out in the middle for an over or two and came back. The man knows conditions. They know these conditions like there's no tomorrow.
That's it. Yeah.
Oh, I shouldn't say this. I want Australia to be smacked. Why? Not because I hate Australia, but I think it would be good for Australia to have a match where they get really smacked. Why? Because it'll test them, and they'll be able to learn from it. You can't keep cruising along. No. You have to.
It's good to have a game where you get a little bit of hammering from the other side. It's just a good wake-up call to test your ability, how you come back from a rough day. And I think, as I said, tomorrow first hour, it's a cliche again, but tomorrow first hour is going to be really testing how these guys have recovered and how they come back tomorrow and bowl in that first hour, day 2 first hour. I think that will set the scene. If they don't really get any traction in terms of getting wickets, then they're up for a long day again. So that could just close the test match off from there onwards.
They got to go hard. I reckon they've got to go hard. I reckon they're going to put Cummins on pretty quickly. Yeah. I'd put Cameron Green on more.
Yeah. Cameron Green.
Start, but they need to go hard.
Yes, agree, 100%.
How old's Imam Al Haq? He must be pretty young. He looks quite young.
He's mid-20s, I think. Yeah. I don't think he's that old.
I keep laughing when I see TikTok series. I keep laughing when I see that. next it'll be Facebook. Next it'll be Instagram or YouTube.
Yeah. Imam's
TikTok's
26.
Going mad.
Imam's 26.
They must be putting out some cash, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
All right, so your summary of the day. Obviously, in terms of Pakistan, they're totally on top.
Yes.
We lost 1 wicket.
Yep. Yeah. They belongs to Pakistan batters. And similarly, on the other side, you'd say India. I don't see India losing from where they are at the moment. Yeah.
Go back to India for a moment. They're the word on top that they've had a good day. They've lost wickets, but they've had a good day.
Yes.
And if they get over 400 and say, well, they're 350, or they get 450, which they're capable of doing with Jadeja and Ashwin in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's pretty reasonable total.
They've scored quickly. As we touched base earlier on, they were 5 for 220 odd. All of a sudden, if they lose punt, they're all out 330. The game's in balance. But because punt and whatnot scored really quickly, and they took the game on, and they're all of a sudden sitting comfortable in 350, 450 plus, games India's way.
I mean, look, again, it's just such a special. We've had such a great build-up. It's been well received. They had a pretty big media conference from the ICC about this too. They're just bringing a narration from Adam Gilchrist about Rodney Marsh. I mean, Rodney Marsh set the scene for all the keepers. The Rishabh Punts, the Gilchrist, all came from Marsh's efforts.
Everyone. Yep. And we touched base earlier on his contribution, not just his playing days, his post-playing days as well. There's so many players this era or era before have been through his academy days when he was the academy coach in Adelaide. And then obviously he went on to England, set up a similar sort of academy. A lot of guys, likes of Collingwood and whatnot, they've come through the academy system, which Rod Marsh set it up. He was the brains behind all the academies around the world as well, because everyone tried to see the successful model what Australia and England had, and they copied the models around the world to set up the academies. And now every country have got an academy, and all the credit goes to this is brainchild of Rod Marsh. His contributions can never be matched on and off the field, playing days or non-playing days. He's the world has lost a legend, I suppose.
I remember when they had Rod Marsh, I think in the well into the 80s, so he already played for 10, 15 years, and he went out in a one-day match where they were colour clothing, and he hit the ball like Punt does now, like everybody. And if you look at I'm pretty sure a lot of the current players have watched those tapes. You can't help but not.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah,
a cricket tragic just has to flick through videos on cricket, and on they'll come, and you'll see all these incredible players. And I mean, yeah, it was such an era. I always test young people. I say, "Oh, you love your cricket, do you? Okay, who have you seen play?" I've heard of Donald Bradman and that, but I said, "Have you seen Lily Thompson with Marsh and the rest of them?" And some say no, and I quickly get them to Google it and YouTube it or whatever and have a look, and I guess they realise how good they were.
How good? Yeah, exactly.
Amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they would say that Rod Marsh knew what the league was going to do.
Yeah, that's the thing. And that's why that combination of Court Marsh, Paul Lilly, how many times you've heard, and, it's been amazing.
Yeah, he had a really big torso and very little legs. Such a classic build for a cricketer. It was just amazing. Yeah. All right, we'll have a short run tonight. I think we've gone an hour. That's relatively short.
That's fair run. That's a good conclusion. I think we'll catch up tomorrow, day 2.
And you should be very happy with the score. 1 wicket down for a ton.
Win the toss and bat, and that's what both teams did today, and both have been rewarded. So look forward to day 2.
What's your prediction for tomorrow's end of day score? Give me a prediction.
Tomorrow, I think if Pakistan continue to bat, they'll score 450.
So what? Give me a score. What will tomorrow's end of day play be?
Let's say Pakistan 460 in Australia 1 for 20.
So in Pakistan 468, did you say?
Yeah.
And Australia 1 for 20.
All 1 right? for 20. Yeah.
That would be something what I would think would be possible. I even think Munchie's saying 6 for 500. Well, that's very, very possible.
That's doable as well. Absolutely.
Very, very possible.
Very possible. Yeah.
I'm actually saying probably close to Munchie, and I think Munchie's saying that Pakistan are still going to be batting. They might really run Australia into the ground.
Yeah, test out of the reach for Australia. Yeah.
They should.
Why not?
Azhar Ali not out 300. Imam Haq not out 290 something.
Yeah.
With a name like Al Haq, I mean, come on.
Yes.
Imam Al Haq, come on. There got to be some similarities there.
Yeah. Yes.
All right. Well, thanks for your time.
My pleasure.
I've kept you up long enough, and I'm going to do a bit of a monologue, and we'll finish up.
Fantastic, mate. Thank you very much for inviting. Thanks for your views.
Isn't it been great? Emotion's been fantastic, as always. Gaming and Porunjo says 4 for 535. We have to write these down. I'll go back and have a look at this because we'll see who's right. There'll be a prize. Maybe a cap or a shirt or something.
Let's reassess it tomorrow. Okay.
All right.
All right, mate.
All right, thanks, Lawson. Thank you very much.
I'll talk to you tomorrow. Cheers, mate.
Ta.
Bye.
Yeah, well, gaming with Porunjo, who said he was gone, but he's still here. 4 for 535. That would be quite possible. Or 6 for 500. I reckon 500 is the go. Good to see you again, Munchie. Who are you saying? Good to see me again? Or are you talking about the other people? Munchie, you want to come on for a sec? Do you want to say yes or no, Munchie? You want to come on for a second, or are you happy to go? Have you had enough for tonight? Well, today at least. We'll talk about England cricket and what's going on with Anderson and Broad next time as well as how they're faring with Dan Lawrence. Looks like a number 4. I'm not sure what's going on there. I don't think he's your answer number 4. I can't make it. Sorry. Okay. Well, no worries, Munchie. All right. So let's just do a bit of a recap, guys. As we know, India had a pretty good day too. So Pakistan have had an absolutely outrageous day. They've only lost 1 wicket the entire day, which will certainly test Australia's mental state. Of course, India were 6 wickets for 357 at the end of their day's play. Their run rate was well over 4 for most of the day, in particular when Punt came in and got 96 run a ball. So their scorecard, we'll just go through that. Of course, both Agarwal and Rohit Sharma opened the batting. Both got starts, 33 and 29 respectively. Hanuma Vihari looked particularly good. For his 58, got a reasonable ball, and look, he looked good. Virat Kohli in his 100th Test match, 45, looked the goods. He was playing a lesser role than Vihari, which was very good, and looked like he would go on with it. And not unlike the way that the Pakistani batters did, but they lost both their wickets when they were in well and truly set. Rishabh Pant came in 1 batter early and certainly showed why. He scored a run of ball with 9 fours and 4 sixes. Shreyas Iyer just a little bit out of sorts, all out of 27. Then Jadeja setting his ship with Punt, and then ultimately now with Ashwin. He's 45 by out with Ashwin on 10. So 6 for 357, a run rate of 4.2. So they're in a good position there to get well over 450. Whereas the way that Pakistan batted, they look like they're heading for 500, not 450, with 1 for 245 after some 90 overs. Not a fast run rate, but they set the scene beautifully with Imam al-Haq not out 132. And of course, Ashar Ali was not out 64 and looking great guns. Lyon, who bowled on 31 overs, almost double than anyone else, is 1 for 87. The only wicket taker who took the wicket of Shafiq there for a pretty loose shot, which means he could have got a century too. So fantastic. Have you even seen Babar Azam yet, or Fawad Alam or Rizwan? Some of their best batters are still to come. 500 looks a very likely total, and Australia will be pretty sore if they keep playing the way they are now. All right, we'll need to see what they do. And then Travis Head shouldn't have bowled. If Steve Smith's going to come on and bowl 4 tosses, he shouldn't have bowled. Oversham was okay, but yeah, they haven't planned that second bowler there. And I'm missing having Agar in the team, I think, quite certainly. And I still think Zampa deserves a go. Shrepson, I don't think is really test material, if I'm being honest. And there's some Pakistan batsmen getting out some replays, I'm saying. So you're 1 for 245 after 90 overs in Rawalpindi and Pindi Cricket Stadium. A magnificent performance indeed, and very impressive. Now, can you read your message, chat? What are you saying? Hi, no, okay. What are you saying? India 9 for 500 declared at 2 for 40. Sorry, Sri Lanka 2 for 40. Okay, so you're saying 9 for 500 and 2 for 40. Okay, that's certainly a plausible score there. Whether India will get 500, we'll wait and see. If Jadeja or Ashwin get out, they've got a bit of a tail there running, haven't they, really, with Shami and Bumrah. So, yeah, that could happen. Gavin Porunji, I thought you said you were going. Cricket trends, you need a leg spin, these type of Pakistan pitches. I agree. A good leg spin, not just a part-timer. Pakistan score date in 4 for 535. That's going to be pretty impressive. We'll remember those tomorrow, see how close you were. And I reckon 500 certainly is the benchmark for tomorrow, without a doubt. Yeah, it's been a pretty impressive day for Pakistan and not a bad day for India as well. Both having won the toss and elected to bat. Have shown why that's a good choice. Certainly a good choice indeed. Yes. All right, so we've got a lot of cricket happening. The Women's World Cup is underway. The West Indies played, I think it was New Zealand, and they had a very close match. And in the end, West Indies won, which is quite a boil over. New Zealand, they had that game won. And unfortunately or fortunately, West Indies women's team actually knocked them off. Bit of an early shock in the early stages of the World Cup. Plenty more to come, I'm sure. And I'm just loving it. We're looking at some old footage of the SCG with the old scoreboard there. Some Pakistan batters facing the likes of Jeff Lawson with Rod Marsh behind in the keeping position. Those were the days. That was quite an incredible day with the hill there. And Pakistani players certainly can bat. They played a belated happy birthday to your mum. Thank you. That was from December last year. She turned 90. She was she's back home now after having a stint in hospital. So that's an ordeal, I'll tell you, having to take care of someone in that way almost all day. In fact, I've had to take care of her, which I don't mind at all, but it is a bit tiring. And Gaiman and Punjay saying India versus Pakistan women's on Sunday. That'll be interesting. Certainly will be an interesting match. Yeah, Pakistan side women's is not bad, actually, with Neeta Dar and the like there. They've got a pretty good side. India certainly have a better side, you would think, but yeah. Bumrah can score 20 to 25 runs to test matches. He can, usually in not such good circumstances. He tends to fight his way out rather than when things are really good. But yeah, he could easily get 20. I know he can. He's proven it on a number of occasions recently where he scored runs. Usually when the team is not doing well rather when they are doing well. Yeah. Jeff Lawson here coming in the bowl to a Pakistan team. Pakistan 3 for 88. This is at the SCG. You can certainly see the SCG there with Robin Bailish as the umpire. Yeah, it's been fantastic. So any other questions, guys? Because we've run an hour and 11 minutes. I think we can finish the day now if you want. I really appreciate your time, guys. It's been fantastic having you yet again on the show. We always have a good time. So, let's join up and see how this test match unfolds. It's going to be some twists and turns, but I think the twists and turns will be in favour of Pakistan and India rather than Sri Lanka and Australia. Let's be honest. All right, guys. You take care. We'll talk more tomorrow. Post game. Okay. All the best. Shami has 250s. I know how good Shami is and Bumrah, but I don't think they're going to necessarily do this one. Sadfiq Bakari. Is Australia on the back foot already, or is it too early to say that? A little bit. If they keep going this way tomorrow, they're going to be on the massive back foot. When the Stark bowls another 15, 20 overs tomorrow, they're going to feel it. And they don't look totally with it. And there was a decision there where Pat Cummins had to decide whether to, go upstairs to the old review, and no one was helping him. He looked very frustrated, actually, not himself. All right, guys. Batting coach has worked. Yeah, okay. He probably has done a very good job of it all. All right, guys. We'll see each other tomorrow. Okay, same time. So don't forget to view, like, and share the posts. Subscribe. Share it with others in your WhatsApp groups, your email services. Norm Koch is my Twitter and my Instagram, and Norman Koch, of course, is the Facebook and LinkedIn pages, and even TikTok. But Eyes on Cricket is mine. Okay, see you later, guys. All the best.